Hero Fantasy is dead. Well, maybe like Matanui from the Bionicle series, it's been dead since the start of the story to some degree, but in many ways, I feel like it's gotten worse, and certainly it's not gotten any better. But first off, what is Hero Fantasy? Think of Disney World. Think of the Disney movies or stories that you've come to know way back when you were a kid. It talked about it could be whatever you want to be, believe in your dreams, and whatever you think will happen will happen. And as we've gotten older, we've realized that maybe that's not 100% always accurate, but there's always a thought that in some way that I can control my destiny to be whatever I want to be. And sometimes while that's gatekept by real life, Overwatch promises some escapism, and many video games and many of our experiences do promise some sort of escapism. You can be whatever you want to be. And that really is the hero fantasy, to play as heroes or villains in a pursuit to accomplish world peace by defeating baddies or by being the baddies and letting the world peace end in a disastrous firestorm. It's a promise that it often fails to deliver, but it's one that's appealing. And the question is, how can a truly PvP game really deliver on a hero fantasy when there are heroes on the enemy team that also want that exact same fantasy? How can they live in coexistence? Maybe not peaceful coexistence. The answer is surprisingly simple. We don't need to achieve the hero fantasy every game. We just need to feel that it was attainable if only I had been a little bit better. And that's really important. You see, human psychology is often really good at forgetting our past mistakes and remembering our past victories. We'll also hold on tightly, though, to memories or unpleasant situations that we believe to be unfair. Remember that time that you missed the whip shot as Brigitte and your backline died? That one? Maybe not. But you probably remember the time that you got a 3K high noon as Cassidy and clutched around. Or maybe when the enemy swapped Bastion to your Winston and your entire hero fantasy was shattered by a brainlet slobbering on their keyboard. And see, that's the key. Again, asymmetry, or the lack of symmetry, people playing different characters in different situations, is the real beauty of Overwatch. Finding balance and hero fantasy without everything being a carbon copy of someone or something else. Everyone's hero fantasy is a little different. The problem is hero fantasies do conflict. When Zenyatta faces off versus a Tracer, someone's hero fantasy is about to be broken, but they will be comforted with the very real emollient of, well, I could have positioned that better. I could have hit those shots. I could have used my cooldowns a little bit better. I'll do it next time. And that helps us to forget that unpleasant experience while also allowing the other person to feel really good about outplaying us. But a Wrecking Ball versus a Sombra, a Malga versus an Ana, a Reinhardt versus an Orisa, either the counterplay options aren't there at all, or they're so dull, so uninteresting that they completely shatter any illusion of being a hero. And see, this is key. The hero fantasy is completely dependent on our ability to counterplay our opponents, because the hero fantasy can thrive in the simple statement, I could have done better. But when that counterplay is robbed, your hero fantasy trumps my hero fantasy, and there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing makes a crueler mockery of the hero fantasy than a Winston jumping anywhere near a Bastion, only for our brave, brilliant, tough scientists to be melted like so much ice in a stovetop, and for there to be little to no counterplay involved. The best part about counterplay is it also adds even greater peaks to our enjoyment. Ana sleeping a Dragon Blade or Genji deflecting that very same sleep dart back at the Ana provides huge excitement for the individual and even grudging respect from the individual defeated, along with, once again, I could have played that. I could have done better. As long as that statement lives on, even in the wild asymmetry of how different heroes in Overwatch express skill, we're safe. It's when one person's ability to outplay either requires little to no effort, or when that one player has essentially no agency, well, we have a problem. And that's something that all too often happens in Overwatch 2. So what's the solution? Well, healthier skill curves, counterplay, and crucially, abilities and hero designs that aren't designed to curb stomp certain heroes while being completely vulnerable to others. You see, Overwatch walks this very fine tightrope of being a game that's about swapping sometimes, but also about finding your hero fantasy with whatever pick that you're given. And I do think that that's something that is absolutely accomplishable in-game, but it's something that Overwatch has struggled to do with the abilities and the heroes that they've released, and the failure to actually rework and fix some of the old designs that have been problematic since Overwatch 1. This has been a lesson learned many times in the video gaming community, and something that was learned a long, long time ago, funnily enough, in the board gaming community. But maybe that's a topic for another video. Regardless, we can only hope and pray that Overwatch 2 continues to improve its experience, but specifically understanding that it is possible to embrace the hero fantasy while having a balanced game and a game that doesn't feel the same for every single person. Again, that's what makes Overwatch 2 great, is that there's something for everybody. But when that's something for everybody, trumps my hero fantasy and your hero fantasy becomes more important than mine. And I don't have the ability to outplay that, and you don't have the ability to outplay me. That's when the beauty of what makes Overwatch 2 great can really turn into a hideous mockery. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.